Hi everyone, happy Friday 13th. So I feel called to do a channeled message for someone out there. Feels like several people, but specifically one person. Feels like a masculine energy. You may have a lot of masculine principles, but I feel that you not only identify as male, but you were born a male. And this is going to be extraordinarily synchronistic in the things that I'm saying, and then it trickles off into feminine energies where there's going to be big chunks of what I say that are going to be specific in how synchronistic it is in something that you're experiencing in your life, and how it kind of just assists in those specifics that you are kind of working on or working to understand in your life. And then it kind of just trickles off into a lot of the videos that maybe we watch in general where it's helpful information or entertaining or whatever, and it later ends up being helpful in some way. So this is coming through as more of a general message where I'm telling you about some experiences that I've been having in my life, and I'm also being prompted to kind of explore that for myself. And so I'm just going to allow you to be the observer in this as I do this, and then, kind of take it for what it is. Okay. So the first thing that's really been highlighted to me lately is an experience I had when I was maybe around 3 years old, because I was at the store with my family, and I had this experience where I was communicating, beyond I was communicating, and there was a puzzle. It was a Pinocchio puzzle, and I was really drawn to this, and they were saying to pick this puzzle, right? So when we go home, I'm in the hallway, and it's later in the evening, the light's on, and there's the mirror I spoke about, where all throughout my childhood I would sit and stare in front of this mirror, and I unknowingly at the time, what I was going to say is I think that, like, when I say unknowingly, I knew what I was doing. That was inherently who I am, right? I'm a spirit. We're all spirits. And so I didn't have all of these identities tacked on to who I am, right? As an adult, when I look back, I have definitions for what I was doing, definitions for what I was experiencing. I have this feeling of being separate, right? Of spirit at times, and also just kind of being more focused on these worldly things, where this is where I've been so many years of my life, 30 plus years of my life. And so I have an identity here, and identities, right? And small different things, right? All of that. And so when I look back, then I can say, oh, I didn't know. But that's not true. That's not really the case. I was very much aware, and I was very much connected to who I was in my essence, right? And so I was doing the puzzle. Okay, so so what I was saying is, like, I would always stare into the mirror, and I would talk to spirits, and I would see them, and they were also dark spirits that would attempt to come through. And I would see myself, I would see my future, I would see angels, I would see protective beings, and I spent a lot of time meditating in this mirror. And so back to the story of when I was around 3, I'm saying 3 because it was when we were newly in this house. And I remember looking at the age range of the puzzle. It was like 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, something like that, where I was at the very beginning of it. And so from the way that I was perceiving this, I was like, oh, this should have been very difficult for me to do this puzzle, but it wasn't. It ended up being very easy to do, and I was very disappointed because I wanted it to be challenging. I wanted it to be entertaining. I wanted it to be So it literally took me 15 minutes because I remember looking at the clock and it changing, and I was like, this is so disappointing. Anyway, so as this was happening, I was doing the puzzle, I was looking at it and everything. I was being drawn to the mirror, and I didn't look at the mirror, but I was letting my energy kind of move towards the mirror, and the mirror was kind of bouncing back energy upwards and upwards into these higher realms, and there was all this kind of communication happening, and I could feel them around me. And I can relate this back to when I talked about meeting my soulmate and how there's layers of consciousness. It's layers of awareness and layers of like things happening. So it's like conversation, all happening all at once. And so, and all different discussions and different levels and different everything, just different. And so that was happening at this point, that I was like kind of observing. So I was aware that my being was up there, right? Like my higher self, my soul, all of these, it was up there and kind of coexisting with what was happening. Like I was kind of just picking it and listening. And it was just, I don't really remember the conversations, but it was this feeling of that foretelling of things that would happen, similar to like right now that's happening in my life. And so I felt fine. It was like second nature to me, or like first nature. So it wasn't really anything. I was just listening and observing. And so I remember staring, after I was done with the puzzle, I remember staring at the picture on the box, the puzzle box, and it absorbed everything. It absorbed all of those experiences and then put it into like one specific like message, like one specific voice. You know, it's like, how can I describe this? Sorry, there's something in my eye. One moment. Can't find eye drops. So on with the show. So anyway, it's kind of like this feeling where it's like if I was speaking to you and you can see like everything that is existing that I'm explaining, like everything in my life. I don't know. It's like it all kind of just came into. I wish I could illustrate it. Let me try and just illustrate what I'm trying to say. So like, let's say you're watching a movie and then you see like a review of people's life and like all their experiences, everything, and then it like reverses into someone's eye. Like if they're seeing like before their end of life, that kind of thing, and it's like, and you see everything like that. It's kind of that same thing where it kind of focuses into one individual. And so it all focused into this voice, and it felt like a guide. It felt like this, I don't know, just like this comforting being. And they were saying like God, but it is the voice of God through your guardian angels when it's of the light. But I mean, anyway, but it was just comforting, like, you know, essentially everything's okay, everything's fine. And it showed me like it kind of just showed me the essence of my future, the essence of my life now, like right now, like 2023 and like several years prior and several years, mostly years like all the way up to 2025. 2036, like all the way up. Like it's more chunks of like what's to come, but also what has already happened. It's like, it's just this weird, it's, I know I'm making sense to whoever this needs to resonate with, but anyway. And so yeah, this was like before things started getting really bad for me in my life. And so I think in some ways it was just, I don't know, maybe like unconsciously or subconsciously there was like a reassurance, right? And so as things kind of got bad, even if I didn't recall that, or if I didn't believe it, or whatever was going on, then it was still in reference. There's a reference point in my mind, right, in my memory of that experience. And so subconsciously I could kind of move forward and hopefully kind of just have that glimmering hope, right, or belief, even if it wasn't conscious, in my conscious awareness, right? And so they're bringing this up, and then they're bringing up like before I met my soulmate, and and also like when I think about that right now, what I see is like this hand. I see an eye, and I know that's some protective figure. I think it's supposed to be like the hand of God, you know. So it's this, and then I see this feminine figure, and she has a round face, and it's like smaller than my face and like round, and she has dark hair, dark skin, probably like the same color as my skin, like it's like lighter but dark, and then same color hair but maybe a little bit darker. It feels thick, or like maybe like braided, so that it kind of feels thicker or appears a little bit thicker, and thick liner, like how I just have like a simple line across my eye, and so it's the same, it's just a simple line but it's thick, and I see that, and she feels very familiar to me. Like I would even say that is it's the same. Okay, so when I reflect, it's kind of like that feeling when I reflect on my past, that kind of fondness or feeling of familiar to that, and then it's like if she was me in a past life reflecting on my current life in that same kind of sense. It really feels very similar to me. So yeah, it feels like me. It feels like me. Okay, so then they bring me to, so they're saying like to explain like why it connects to now. So I have these videos that are recorded like back in, I think, July, and I was gonna post them a year from the date that I had recorded them, because I had this vision about my life, right? And I just felt prompted to record it and like do that. And so I knew that October was going to be a significant month, and everything's happening as my vision had foretold, had shown me. And so I haven't done like updated videos on that, that's like in a backlog or anything, but they're relating that to my childhood when I was looking at the Pinocchio box, and what they're making it a triangle, like connecting all three. So it's like my childhood, now, and my future, and they're making a triangle, and they're like connected all. What is that, connected all? What does that say? That everything is going to be okay, for one. But I don't know, that must be a message for you to know it's kind of reaffirming, unless something's going to go awry with me. I don't believe so. I think, what is it telling me? Okay. It's basically like, no matter the difficulties in life, it always gets better. And that's just the nature of things. It always gets better. What I see as difficulties for me, like things that are going to be a big kind of energy zapper for me. It's not anything like my childhood, nothing crazy like that. But it's more of just the physical, tangible things in life, the practical things in life, in order for me to kind of drive myself to what it is that I see, right? It takes actual work to do. And so in that sense, it's going to be very difficult for me, because I have a big learning curve. And not only that, but I have to put both feet in. I can't just say, okay, well, we'll see it, we'll get around to it, because I very likely would just procrastinate. And it's this feeling of, well, where do you place your value in things, right? What do you feel is important? And what's so important to me is to follow my calling, to follow what God's word is for me. And so I can't just put one foot in and say that that's enough and kind of just be half committed. I have to wholly be committed to it. And so in doing so, that is the road that feels difficult for me, right? It's not, again, it's not an emotional difficulty. It's not a difficulty with those around me in, like, you know, in interpersonal relationships that may be like negative people around me, right? It's just, again, it's just getting work done, actually doing something that, and the whole thing about this, maybe I need to just post, I don't know, you'll see, but it's like, this is part of what the whole reason why I even got into this whole mystery thing that I'm not really talking about, is specifically what it is because I felt called to do it. I felt called to record the video that I didn't post in July, right? I felt called to kind of be where I'm at right now. And so, and that's my calling. That's what I feel I need to do. Okay. So there's that. And they're bringing me to the top of the triangle. The top of the triangle is my childhood. Okay. The top of the triangle. And they're saying, go back to the top of the triangle. But then when I go there, I see a hand with an eye. And they're asking the synchronicity. They're saying, where's the synchronicity? And I would say that the synchronicity in this is because I'm always getting some form, in whatever religious aspect it is, whether it's a Jesus fish or that, or, you know, the bird or whatever, it's always pointing as protection. And so like divine protection. And like, that's how I know that it's like kind of silly saying it. It just feels like ridiculous, because what I was going to say is like, that's how I know I'm in the right direction, but it's not. It's like, I knew. So it's more of just like, I absorb that feel, you know, I never knew peace. And I would reflect sometimes on some videos that I would post where the definition was so foreign to me, or the word was so foreign to me for so long, that even feeling it, I didn't have the word for what I was experiencing, which was peace. And so I would describe it, but I wouldn't associate it with the word peace. And I do feel like I have attained something that really many people don't ever get to experience in their lifetime. and maybe even lose hope in knowing that there is that inner peace. And it's a peace that's just like, I'm really at peace. I'm sincerely at peace. And I think that, you know, it's very detrimental, but also it is what it is, for people to say, just because they've never experienced it, or they cannot attain it, or they haven't attained it, that it's impossible, because it's not. It's absolutely not. Maybe that's not your journey in life. Unfortunately, I don't believe that that is applicable to everyone to feel that complete peace in this life. Maybe you're supposed to kind of take a different path in life, so that's understandable, but you can't make that blanket statement, because there is that possibility. And if you yearn for it, or if you crave it, or you desire it in some way, it could find you. If you have that drive, if you put both feet in, you could very well find it. You know, you're not going to be denied God. You're not going to be denied peace. You're not going to be denied that, if you so choose to fully pursue it, right? And so I guess in some ways it sounds like I'm saying two different things, but I'm not, because some people will not have that full desire, full commitment to it, right? So you may want it, but then you're not fully committed, and you may be kind of tricking yourself into thinking that you are, when you're still kind of just doing what you want to do and not really putting everything into it, right? So every case is different, but it is achievable. It is possible. It is your right to feel that. But what are you willing to sacrifice? Worldly speaking, what are you willing to sacrifice? And it's like so silly to think about too in that way, but it's just reality, because everything here is temporary. And so you have to be willing to pull yourself away from your identity in order to see that those sacrifices are nothing. God's asking you nothing of you, other than to see things for what they really are, and turn away, right? Repent, turn away completely from the things that don't truly hold any value in this world. Your ego, reputation, money, all of that. Of course, you need those to kind of survive in the world in some ways, but again, are you deluding yourself in some of those instances, right? Anyway, that's part of it. That's supposed to be part of it for someone, but beyond that, there's this other like message that I'm getting. So back when I was in school, in college, I had this TV, right, in my apartment, and it would turn on randomly, and then it would change channels. The volume would go up and down, and I thought originally there was like something wrong with the remote. There wasn't anything wrong with the remote. Then I thought someone was messing with me, like they had the same remote or a universal remote, and they were outside my window and like messing with it. No one was doing that. So I eventually just unplugged it and stopped watching TV. And then I I graduated, moved into my own place. I still had the TV, and it was still doing the same thing, right? Still having problems. And so I was like, maybe it's old TV, threw it out. And then I got a new one, and then new TV started doing the same thing. And actually, before I threw the old TV out, I told my parents what was going on, and my dad made this weird face, and it kind of clicked to me that I was like, well, maybe it's something paranormal. And so I was like, okay, that's weird, and I threw it out. And then the new TV I got, my parents actually gifted it to me as like a graduation gift. My dad gave it to me, and so the new TV was doing the same thing. And so I just unplugged it and again stopped watching TV. And I don't remember if anything else like weird like that was going on. The TV is the one that really stood out to me because it was really disturbing my peace, right? If it's turning full volume in the middle of the night, if it's changing channels constantly, and it would even go to like blurry channels. And it was just like always just going crazy. And so I was like, okay, forget it. I'm like, I'm done, whatever. And this was shortly before I met my soulmate. And so what I'm seeing here is there's this important message for you that you are very likely under siege, and that spiritually speaking, and that there's a lot of distractions coming in whatever way that it can come in for you, right? Even small things like this, I think this message was slightly under siege because, you know, this message does not want to get to you, right? To validate this for you, to empower you, right? Something in my eye, then my cats, then my phone again, like all of these different things. And even me kind of having the struggle to even get through the video, which hopefully it wasn't too obvious. But anyway, yeah, so it's right before something incredibly spiritual and destined is supposed to happen. Because after that, I met my soulmate, and my life completely changed after that. Now, what would have happened? Like, what was the point? What was the point in these energies trying to come in, right? In these paranormal ways, in whatever ways that I didn't stand out to me, that they likely came through is, well, does it distract you? Does it instill fear in you? Does it, like, how, in what way is it possibly deterring you, attempting to deter you? Because you have to be willing to do that, right? You have to take the initiative to turn away. Essentially, you're turning away from God because you're turning your attention towards those aspects, whether it's coming through as fear, whether it's coming through as mentally breaking you down, right? You know, I'm in school when the TV's going on, or I'm working right after I graduated, so it's trying to break me down so I can't keep going, right? I'm gonna pay attention to this or whatever. It might even come through in a way that's like seductive, right? And so you have to kind of see if this is something that is truly in your best interest or not. Like, kind of feel the energy that's connected with this. And so where is it pulling you towards this that is what's gonna be relevant for you? Like, understand your weaknesses, right? Because these energies that are coming through, talking specifically for this, they have always been in the dark. They've always been demonic entities. And so they know your path, right? They know you, and they know the spiritual realm better than you know currently in your incarnation, because you are you're experiencing yourself as a human being, and you have multiple lifetimes, very likely, or like other identities. These things have always been energies. And so they're watching your path. They understand it. And so they're trying to intercept in order to see if you will kind of mold yourself around it. How are you going to handle these situations, right? Prior to these good things that are going to happen in your life. And I'm saying that's like really downplaying it. It's like good things. It's something drastic, spiritually speaking, something very drastic that is going to completely change your life, the trajectory of your life, or the way that you perceive life. Enlightening kind of feels like different, kind of feels like step up. It feels like just like destruction. It's a destruction of how can I, it's like breaking you know the candies they have now, the fruit where it's coated in sugar. It's like cracking the sugar shell off of it and getting to the fruit. You know, it seems appealing to have that sugar water, but it's not good for you at all. It's toxic for you, and the fruit already has so much sugar, and it's naturally good. Is natural, and it's good for you. I mean, sugar is technically not. You get what I'm saying. And so it's kind of like you're breaking the shell off to get to the fruit. And you're not eating the shell. It's kind of what's happening here. As like the good thing that's happening is you're getting rid of the shell. And it doesn't serve you in the way that it might be appealing to others. And there's I don't know, there's something about that. And I saw like this figure. It's like, it showed me like a car, like a movement. So it's like traveling somewhere, but then like this ghost coming out of the car and moving somewhere else. So it kind of feels, I don't know, it kind of feels like that would make sense to you. So there's that. Okay. That's basically, let's just summarize this last part for you, which is essentially, you're under, it feels like two separate things. Like what I said with the triangle, that feels separate, but it's interconnected, it's interwoven, right? So part one, then part two is something very great, something very delicious is happening for you, right? Delicious, because we were talking about the fruit candy. But anyway, that is set in your path. This is something that you're going towards. But these entities are trying to intercept it. And it feels very spiritual and very strong, right? These demonic entities that have always been demonic coming through because you're going down a path that is very spiritual. And it's going to take you somewhere that is not necessarily enlightening in that sense, because enlightening, it feels like it's leveling up in some way. I don't know, I'm just trying to describe the feeling. This feels like more of the dismantling of something that is unnecessary weight around you and kind of clouding the way that you're perceiving something like that. And so you're already enlightened, you're already up there, but there's something holding on to you that needs to be let go of, and that's going to be shedded from you. It's just these entities are trying to avoid that from happening by deterring you in some way, and it's going to be coming through in a way that is relevant to you in your life, but it feels also like it's coming through in a paranormal way. It's coming through in the physical world in whatever way that they're trying to reach you in that. So be mindful of this, which I know that you are, but it's kind of like pay attention to it. Just pay attention to it. Obviously, don't be afraid. And if you are, then you need to get someone who's not, that knows what they're doing to exorcise them out of you or around your vicinity if that's so necessary. And it's connected also because the whole thing with the childhood thing, it's this confirmation that something very, like, it's confirmation of something very good in your life. Like, your future is very bright. And so any rough moments in between, it's temporary, right? My past is in the past. It's no longer I'm no longer experiencing it, right? The only way that I can continue to experience it is if I replicate it in my life, right? If I carry those burdens with me and I replicate it in whatever way that is me attempting to heal from it, or me attempting to stay stuck in those traumas. That is ways that I can continue to live in that. Or if I have PTSD and I'm not reflecting back, but I'm experiencing those things again. So it's a mind change, mindset change, and also the physiological change as well, because like they're kind of showing me like shock therapy. Like, you have to shock yourself out of it. You have to completely change certain things of the in-between stages, right? But if I go prior to that and I go to that experience of me being of spirit, then knowing, truly understanding that is my true essence, right? And I'm hearing the word validating. So again, it's something about validating that as my true essence. Then it really, it dismantles it really kind of categorizes what's important, what isn't important. Okay, hopefully, I know it's going to make sense, but I feel like I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. I have a deck here. I just feel called to pull a card. So I'm going to do that. 2 came out. 3. Okay, so we have Ace of Swords, Temperance, Judgment, Ace of Pentacles. And ultimately what I'm seeing here is to tell the truth. That's what I'm saying. It's tell the truth, and tell the truth to you, right? Be honest with you. Tell the truth to you. That's all it is. And the truth, like, see her looking up into the light. It's like, really be honest. Be honest. Don't be... It's this feeling of like, don't be humble in the eye of God, right? Like, you don't have to hide yourself. You don't have to try and like not humility, like humbleness. Like, don't be shy. Don't be shy about who you are. Don't be shy about what you feel and what you believe. Like, really speak to God. Be honest, right? And speaking to yourself. This is who I am. Step into the light. Step forward. Step into who you are. Or continue. It's not stepping into who you are. It's like continue. It's mostly just continue. And then they're showing me here how behind her is when spring is coming forward, right? And so she still has to go into the winter in order to gather the water that is going to, I don't know, sustain her in where she's existing in the spring. And she's also still looking kind of icy. And so it seems to me, but she's adorned with flowers, and her bucket is adorned with flowers. And so what they're showing me here is the story of how it's almost like your existence is already the spring. It's already here. Everything that you're kind of wanting to attain, or felt like you needed to attain, or wanting to become, or moving into, is here, is in existence. But it's your mind that is making you perceive things in a way that is kind of connected to your past. So you're looking at your life as if you're still this past version, or you're looking at, it's like, I have a pen a marker right here, okay? Like, I can look at this marker like I'm an adult and I have this marker and like what I do with it, or I can look at it and associate myself as being a child and holding this marker. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at it in two different ways, or I could look at it in two different ways. It's like what you're doing is you're looking at this like you're a child with a marker and you're just scribbling and you can't really color in the lines. You're still learning all of these different things. When in reality, you're a full-grown adult. This is a brand new marker. It looks exactly the same as the one you had when you were a child, but now you have it. And look at the world, how everything's completely different. You're a full-grown adult. You have your own place. You're doing whatever the heck you want. You know, all of these things are different. The only thing that really stay the same is like you're still you. You know what I mean? Like you're still in your body. You're still you. But you're wanting, it's like I want to change. It's this feeling like I want something to change, right? But it already changed. It already changed. It already changed. It's already here. It's here. It's here. You're living in it. You're existing in it. But your mind is showing you something else. Your perception is showing you something else. And so when you connect more spiritually into your essence, into your spirit, you connect more to God, right? Or, you know, whatever, the light, whatever's associated with the light that's relevant to you, then that's putting you more in alignment with honesty. And in that, you will be able to shift your perception to see things for what they really are. Justice. I mean, these are all wheel. Like they're all major arcana. I mean, it's extremely Queen of Pentacles. Extremely powerful. Okay, we have Eight of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Temperance fell on the floor, Magician, Four of Pentacles, Knight of Chalices. There's something significant to the Temperance falling to the floor. I feel like that is that dismantling of the marker, the past. This is something that I think that's the key to what this devil energy, the demonic entities, are trying to dissuade you from breaking that off. I think that's the shell, right? And that's what's really trying to get a hold of you, because as you're shifting into this, you cannot remain in that same mindset. I mean, you could, but for you, it would be very uncomfortable and not really. Okay, with the Eight of Wands, sorry, they're just interrupting. So the Eight of Wands, it feels like a contract or it's some sort of contract. Whether this is like a spiritual contract or a physical contract, that this is part one. This has to do with another individual, and they're telling this as like foretelling what's going to happen. This is going to happen soon for you, or is happening, or like in the process of happening, right? So you would be like signing paperwork now or something like that, right? Or it's going to happen. This is signifying for me exactly what the card usually, you know, some sort of fast communication. So this is coming on suddenly, but it's important, and you recognize its importance. And what it's doing is it's opening some sort of favorable, it's a favorable event, okay? Whether this is like a new business for you, or a new connection with another individual, or a new way. If it's opening, it feels like a door opening. That's what they're showing me, is like these huge doors. It reminds me of the card that I have in one of the decks, is like the ibis or something, sacred ibis, and it's like these two birds and the door opening up. And I think it's like teaching and learning, something like that. And so it's this feeling of this new, it's that second, I mean, I hope I explained it perfectly in like the triangle and everything, where it's this new chapter, this whole new part of your life opening up. So I think it's just more repetition. But we have the Magician here, and they want me to point out that it is over the Judgment. And so it feels like you are this vessel for the light. You are channeling and manifesting on earth. You are earth's manifestation of the light in what you are doing. And then here with the pentacles on top of each other, this feels more of like it feels like a bank. Okay, so whether this is interconnected with a loan, or if this is you starting like retirement funds, or this is advice to start a retirement fund, or a legacy imprint, the beginnings of a stable foundation for a legacy that is happening here. They wanted me to touch on this because it feels like this is a separate energy. I don't know, a separate energy in the sense that this might be what with the cards that I was just discussing, but this feels like a person, like, though I keep saying separate energy because the word I'm really getting is third party. And so it's like this third energy, this third person, it's like somehow separate. So if this is like more of like your business or work or something like that, then this feels like it feels like this a romantic kind of thing, like, but it could also be a friend, but it feels like someone very soft and loving and pursuing something with you that is sincere and honest. And it does feel connected because he has this chalice here, like the one that fell on the floor, the Temperance. And so it's this feeling of them accepting an offer that you have, you know, or accepting what it is that you do. It's like if you were that Temperance fairy and you're constantly getting water, and then you're going off and like watering plants and drinking it, whatever, doing laundry, and this person comes along and they're like, hey, can I have some? Like, it's like an icebreaker, right? And so they're trying to kind of figure out a way to connect with you, communicate with you in a way that, you know, they see that you really like to do something, so they want to show interest in it. And it feels like this is a real struggle for them to actually get to this point in their life, to kind of be this forthcoming in this way, or at least express themselves in some sort of way to you. And so your guides are actually just noting that because they want you to be mindful of that. I think you innately will, but there might be a tendency to kind of let that slip or forget that. But to know that, you know, they are putting in a lot of effort to do this. And so that just kind of shows that even if it seems very minimal on the surface, what's happening beneath the surface is obviously a lot. It's a really big deal, and it's very, it will mean a lot to you in knowing how much effort they are putting forward. My stomach's growling, so I'm gonna go. Hope this makes sense. I know it did. I don't know why I keep saying that. bottom of the neck is 9 of Cups. And I'm really drawn to the ladybug on here, of luck, Okay, you're going to feel really lucky. You're going to feel extremely lucky in this. But it's more of this feeling of, I knew this was going to happen. I can't believe that my incarnation here, my life here has been planned out to be so lucky, to feel so lucky, right? It's just you highlighting all the good things happening in your life and kind of just being amazed by it, you know, and grateful. A lot of gratitude. Okay, one more. 5 of Cups. Oh, I cannot show you the other card, the Empress. 5 of Cups, Empress, and then I think it was that one, and the King of Pentacles. And what the 5 of Cups, what it looked like to me is the puzzle that I was talking about. I mean, looking at the puzzle and being excited, right? I had this idea that the puzzle would be so difficult, challenging for me. That's what I wanted, was something a little more difficult, and it ended up disappointing me because it was so simple, right? And what that's actually showing me is kind of this kind of like a bigger, like it's a metaphor, right? It's a metaphor for how I expected life, or I expected circumstances to be a lot more challenging, and I thought that I would be up to the challenge, but really what God was gracing me with is something a lot more simple. And maybe I would think that that would lead to disappointment, but in fact it's something that I need at the time, and it's actually because I was living a life that was not peaceful in a lot of ways. And so in order for me to kind of live that trauma, then I would seek out more difficulties, right? And so understanding peace and feeling peace, internal, probably eternal peace as well, but that has allowed me to shift my mindset and to be able to perceive what it is to be at peace, and to actually see that those difficulties don't define me, don't develop grit. You know, I mean, it does develop grit, but that's not... Just a strong character is important, but don't purposefully seek out difficulty in order to kind of let that be the caliber of your strength. Let God be your strength, right? And let Spirit be your strength, and let that inner guidance, right? That inner guidance, that heartfelt guidance, light guidance, kind of allow that journey, that trek, to be discovered for you, right? I mean, some people have a difficult life and are meant to have that in certain ways. And, you know, everyone's very different, but I'm just saying, it's in essence, follow what feels right for you, right? Anyway, that was the message. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.